Hey guys, welcome to Through the Bible Verse by Verse, a plain and simple study of the entire Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse. Currently, we are in Joshua chapter 15. We are kind of closing out not only the book, but the Joshua generation. Now remember, Joshua's generation, Joshua's mission had three parts to it. One, get the people into the promised land, crossing the Jordan. Two, conquering the land. And then three, dividing the land up among the 12 tribes of Israel. So he's doing that now as we move through. Now I say that because we're going to just kind of skim through. I want to bring up, let me get to Joshua chapter 15, but I want to show you something as far as a map is concerned. And so if you look at the map on the right, the one I got here, when we talk about Joshua dividing up the land, okay, this is kind of an ideal of what is going on right here. If you look at, again, I'm looking at the map on the right, the enlarged map, okay. So you see some of the highlighted things. Look towards the bottom, Simeon. Then as you kind of move kind of up, you look at Judah there. We're going to mention Judah because we're going to start with Judah, and where the tip of Judah starts at the tip of the Dead Sea. We'll come back to that. But then on the other side of the Dead Sea, you got Reuben. Then you come up Manasseh, right? And then you got Issachar, Zebulun, Naphtali, Ephraim. All these things highlighted. This is what we mean when we talk about the division then of the land. Okay, so that's why I wanted to kind of highlight that. So for that purpose, I'm only going to just skim through because we have some detailed descriptions of the borders of the different tribes. So again, if you want to be meticulous, there's a Bible map. As you can see, this was on Google. Okay, so there are several maps in which you can study. All right, and then I want to mention that I'm apologizing for butchering some of the Hebrew names. I didn't. Okay, if you got a good audio Bible, these guys and girls studied the proper pronunciation of the names. All right, verse 1 says, "Now the allotment for the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans was from the southernmost region, south to the wilderness of Zin, over to the border of Edom." And now look at verse 2. "The southern border began at the tip of the Dead Sea on the south bank." So we kind of got a picture of that and saw that. Now, I'm not going to, again, go through all of these detailed outlining of the region of Judea. One note is that later the region of Judah will be known as the region of Judea. For example, Pontius Pilate would be the ruler, appointed ruler over the Judean territory, and so again we will come to know the term Judea or Judean very fairly well. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to verse number 13. It says, "And he gave Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the following portions among the descendants of Judah based on the Lord's instructions to Joshua: Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. Arba was father of Anak. Caleb drove out from there the sons of Anak, Sheshan, Ahiman, and Talamiah. I'm sorry for this. And the descendants of Anak. Now these were, by the way, giants, the land of giants. We'll get more familiar with them later. Of course, David would have his run-in with these giants, the Philistines, by the way. Verse 15. "From there he marched against the inhabitants of Debir, whose name used to be Kiriath Sephar. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Ashah as wife to the one who strikes down and captures Kara the Sephah. So Othni, again I'm going to butcher this, Othniel, son of Caleb's brother, Kenaz, captured it, and Caleb gave his daughter Ishah as wife to him. Now when we get over to the book of Judges, Othniel will be the first judge, and we'll get to that when we come to the book of Judges. And when she arrived, she persuaded Othniel to ask her father for a field. As she got off the donkey, Caleb asked her, "What do you want?" She replied, "Give me a blessing. Since you have given me the land of Negev, give me the springs of water also." So he gave her the upper and lower spring. Now we'll come back to that, because again, this is going to be almost repeated portion. This will be repeated almost verbatim when we get to the book of Judges. Verse 20, this was the inheritance of the tribe of the descendants of Judah by their clans, and then he gives this list. Let's go to Joshua chapter 16, and it says the allotment for the descendants of Joseph went from the Jordan at Jericho to the waters of Jericho on the east through the wilderness of east of the wilderness, ascending from Jericho into the hill country of Bethel. I'm going to skip down. This was the territory of the descendants of Ephraim by their clans. And then let's go to chapter 17. Again, all of these, we saw that picture. Again, if you look at this map here, you see some of the divisions right here. That's why I'm not going through and giving you all of this detail. This is what it means. This is how it looks somewhat. All right. Chapter 17, verse 1. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. Gilead and Bashan came to Manasseh, the firstborn of Manasseh, and the father of Gilead, who was a man of war. So the allotment was from the rest of the Manasseh descendants by their clan, for the son of Abizik, Helik, Ezra, Schema, Hepha, Sopah. These are the male descendants of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, by their clans. Now verse 3. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, son of Gilead, son of Mechar, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters. These are the names of the daughters: Mahola, Noah, Hoglag, Misha, and Tishra. Now, if you remember this story here, now let me read it first. Verse 4. They came before Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the leaders. The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our male relatives. So they gave them inheritance among their father's brothers, in keeping with the Lord's instruction. As a result, 10 tracts fell to Manasseh, besides the land of Gilead and Bashan, which is beyond the Jordan, because Manasseh's daughters received inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belongs to the rest of Manasseh's sons. Now, if you remember, this was the daughters came and said, "Hey, our father, they committed a sin. He wasn't recording them, but he did die of his own sin." And at the time, they gave them an inheritance. They promised an inheritance. Now, again, they're given this land. But remember, towards the end of the book of Numbers, the other guys came and said, "Hey, wait a minute. You gave these girls this promise of the land, but what if they marry, outside of their tribes?" So, as you can say, they were the daughters of Manasseh, but what if they marry somebody within Dan? So they said, well, they can't marry. They can marry whoever they want, but they have to marry within their tribe to keep the land in the tribe. Now, you see why that's important, especially when we talk about the division here. And I'm going to go back up, look at the Manasseh, look towards the upper right, Manasseh, Okay, and then you look on the other side towards the middle, West Manasseh. That's why that's important. They wanted to keep the land within those tribes' borders. All right. Then it says, I want to skip down to verse 12. The descendants of Manasseh could not possess these cities because the Canaanites were determined to stay in this land. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they imposed forced labor on the Canaanites, but did not drive them out completely. Verse 14. Joseph's descendants said to Joshua, "Why did you give us only one tribal allotment as an inheritance? We have many people because the Lord has been blessing us greatly." "If you have many people," Joshua replied, "go to the forest and clear out an area for yourself there in the land of the Perizzites and the Ephraim, because Ephraim hill country is too small for you." But the descendants of Joseph said, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who inhabited the valley have iron chariots, but Bethshean with its towns is in the Jezreel Valley." So Joshua replied to Joseph's family, that is Ephraim and Manasseh, "You have many people in great strength. You will not have just one allotment, because the hill country will be yours also. Because the hill country will be yours also. It is the forest. Clear it, and its outlying areas will be yours. And you can also drive out the Canaanites, even though they have iron chariots and are strong." Now remember, they should be relying on the Lord to help them. They should be relying on the Lord as Jaleb did, and they would have conquered them because God had already promised them the land. All right, Joshua chapter 18, verse 1. It says, the Israelites community assembled at Shiloh, where it set up the tent of the meeting, that is the tabernacle, remember, and the land had been subdued by them. 7 tribes among the Israelites were left, who had not been divided up among their inheritance. So Joshua said to the Israelites, "How long will you delay going out to take possession of the land that the Lord your God and your fathers gave you? Appoint yourself 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out. They go out and survey the land, write down a description of it for the purpose of the inheritance, and return to me. Then they are to divide out into 7 portions. Judah is to remain in his territory to the south, and Joseph's family in their territory to the north. When you have written a description of the 7 portions of the land and brought it to me, I will cast a lot for you in the presence of the Lord your God. But the Levites among you do not get a portion, because their inheritance is the priesthood of the Lord. Gad, Reuben, and half tribe of Manasseh have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan to the east, and in which Moses the servant gave them." So then the men prepared to go, and Joshua commanded them to write down the description of the land, saying, "Go and survey the land, write the description of it, and then return to me, and I will cast lots for you at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went through the land and described it by towns in the document of 7 sections. They returned to Joshua in the camp. Joshua cast lots for them at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and where he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their division. The lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin. And again, I'm just going to read some of this. Some of the description of the land. Then it says, "These were the cities of the tribe of the Benjamites by their clans." This was the inheritance of Benjamites, the Benjamites by their clan. Joshua chapter 19. It said the second lot came from Simeon. The second lot came from Simeon for the tribe of the descendants by their clan, but their inheritance was within the portion of Judah's descendants. And then it goes on to give that description. The third lot came from Zebulun descendants and their clans. Let me give you a quick picture. Again, look at Zebulun, where Zebulun is, to the upper left. Zebulun there. All right. Then it says, from there, that's their inheritance. Then the 4th lot came from the tribe of Issachar, descendants by their clans. And then the 5th came from the tribe of Asher, descended by their clan. Look at verse 32. The 6th lot came from Naphtali, descendants by their clan. Again, Look at where Naphtali is, the very upper left, Naphtali there. All right, just giving you an idea of where these regions were. The seventh lot came came out from the Danite tribe and its clans. So verse 49, and when they had finished distributing the land into its territories, the Israelites gave Joshua the son of Nun an inheritance among them. By the Lord's command, they gave him the city of Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, which he requested. He rebuilt the city and lived in it. Now we'll get back to this because we're going to have a time jump somewhat here. But anyway, by the end of the book here, verse 51, these were the portions of Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and all the heads of the family distributed to Israelites tribes by lot at Shiloh in the Lord's presence at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. So they finished dividing up the lands. Chapter 20, and then it says here, so you have all this land that's divided by the tribes. Then he says, the Lord spoke to Joshua. Verse 2, tell the Israelites, select your cities of refuge as I instructed you through Moses. Now remember, these cities of refuge were going to be selected throughout the land. I'm not going to give you kind of a location of the city of refuge, but there were several cities throughout all of these lands here. And so if a person was to kill someone unintentionally, he could flee to those cities. He can flee to those cities and not be killed by the avenger of blood. All right, chapter 21. And then it said, chapter 21, verse 1, the heads of the Levite families approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the family of the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan. They told him, the Lord commanded through Moses that we were to be given cities to live in with their pastures for our flock. So the Israelites, by the Lord's command, so the Israelites, by the Lord's command, gave the Levites these cities with their pasture lands from the inheritance. And then he goes on and gives you all where these cities are. And by the way, these cities were spread out in all of the territories. The Israelites, verse 9, gave these cities by name to the tribes of the descendants of Judah and Simeon. Okay. And verse 13, they gave they gave the descendants of Aaron to the priests. And then verse 20, the allotted cities remain of Kohath descendants. And then it goes on, verse 23, the tribe of Dan. These are all the different, again, all of these different tribes, as you see right here on the left, in the different regions. There were cities that were given within all of these areas for the priests to live in. They were free land, no tax. They were untouchable by the people. All right. So again, you see all these land, and then verse 40. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their fathers, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side according to all he had sworn to their fathers. None of their enemies were able to stand against them, for the Lord handed over all the enemies to them. None of the good promises the Lord had made to the house of Israel failed. Everything was fulfilled. Now you have to keep this in mind, that this was Joshua's fulfillment. Now he has fulfilled his time. He has fulfilled his promise, his mission, okay, his prime directive from God, okay. And so when he speaks of all of the generation of Joshua, again, was a good generation. And so all of these lands in which they received, and so this generation of Joshua, and then we get to this more in our next study, it was a good land. All right, guys, we'll pick it up in chapter 22 and close out possibly the book of Joshua in the next study. All right, see you then.